You're listening to REIA Radio, the nationally trusted name in real estate investing. We dig deep to discover investors' why in real estate. If you want to skip all the BS and get in investors' heads, you're in the right spot. Be one of the thousands to check out REIARadio.com.
I'm much of a person where if I'm not growing, I'm dying. And if I don't see a path to a higher stability, why am I doing that in the first place? And I think a lot of young generation look at that as well. If they don't see a path of growth, why get into that situation? And so jumping into the real estate, I was able to see it's almost unlimited. I have the control. I have the option to grow it to what I see fit, or get into different businesses and, scale and grow out and almost spread my wings, per se, right?
Welcome to REIA Radio, episode 292 with Dalton Hanson.
Dalton, I'm noticing a trend here and looking at some notes. Originally, you kind of came on my radar when Ted and I, our mutual friend, Colin Schwartz, was talking about you, and, we've done some business together indirectly through our businesses. But I also noticed you have a partner named Colin.
I do.
What's the thing about Collins? You just have are you just dialed in to the name Colin? How many other Collins do you have?
3, actually.
You have 3 more Collins?
Yeah. So
that's too many Collins.
There's one that's Colin is my banker, then one that's Colin is my insurance agent.
Okay, this
Colin
is
business partner.
So we've got
Colin friend.
Kid number 3. Just wait.
All right, so Colin to the 5th power, and that's kind of one of those. You ever try to find somebody in your phone that you haven't contacted in a long time? You got to scroll through, and you're like, hey, man, I know a lot of Jeffs or whatever.
And half the time I forget to put their last name. So then it's like, all right, what?
Every Colin, you're
Colin,
like
Colin. And then it's like, all right, which one am I supposed to call here?
That's dangerous when you're texting too, because you're like, oh man, was that the right person?
Just get to wait to a point you get like 8,000 contacts in your phone, and then you start looking. I'm like, oh, there's 47 Brads.
He only has 8,000 contacts in his phone, so he can brag about having 8,000 contacts. True. He knows none of them.
Yeah, that's true too, because I don't know how we connected at some point, but it came to a point where I was texting you the event information.
Yeah.
I didn't know your last name yet. And then as I'm typing his phone number, it comes in Dalton Hanson.
Oh, so that's why your picture came in as well.
Yes.
Probably like 10 years younger, but
that is only a 2-year-old picture. Jeez, I just shaved. That one right there.
It is that one.
Dude, you have to change that. You look like your 1980s Ted with a boxy suit. You look like that Saturday Night Live skit where they did the guy that wore the
headshot
gigantic
has gotten
suit.
Me so much attention.
I don't know, man.
That's a I don't give it a headshot.
You look kind of like an enthusiastic Undertaker in that picture, because like you need to add some bronzer or something. That's all I'm saying. Anyway,
okay. Fair enough. I'll go on a vacation, then take my headshots.
There you go. Okay. All right. Enough about you. Okay, Dalton. Coming in, making an hour-and-a-half trek from Sioux City. Thank you for that.
Yeah, thank you for inviting me.
I was all thinking that this was going to be a remote thing, so this is even better. They're way better when they're in person. Appreciate you driving in. You hail from North Sioux City, is that right?
Yep, that's correct.
Born and raised?
No, born in Rapid City. I'm kind of a nomad. I've been over the place all the time. Born and raised in Rapid City. Then I moved to Sioux City. Then I moved to Holstein. Then I moved to Sioux City. Then up to Okoboji area. Then back to Sioux City.
It sounds like witness protection.
Yeah.
So was this due to parents changing jobs?
Changing job. Then me chasing work or chasing job.
Okay. Now, I think, if my notes are correct here, you recently got into real estate. I mean, this is not like you've been doing this for a long time.
No, I full-time went into real estate in 2024, but wow. I really started investing on the side of my full-time corporate job in 2020.
Okay. So what was your career before you dipped your toe into the weird world of real estate investing?
So I was a finance manager of a construction company, but because I'm under the age of 30, they wouldn't call me controller. So, but I built their accounting department.
You're junior controller. Once you hit 30, they're dangling that title.
Exactly. But titles weren't really a thing. And really in any business, it's just you're doing the work. What you do is what you are. So I was a finance manager. I was that for 4 years since I graduated college in 2019, and then jumped into real estate full time once I built my personal portfolio up to kind of meet the needs of our family.
Yeah.
And then dove in head first.
Now, you mentioned before we started recording that you went to Morningside College, which is in Sioux City, and you were a wrestler, right? And it sounds like you were pretty good at it. I mean, you have to be anyway to get on a college team, but you did well in that. You always been a really competitive guy?
Probably since I was the age of 5. Yeah. So I'm very competitive in both sports and even in family functions, or even with sibling rivalries, and some broken bones come out of those. But
oh man,
it is what it is.
Okay. Have you ever played the board game Risk?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Or Catan. Have you played that game?
Catan, no. Yeah. But we do Risk nights about once a month at our house with cigars.
Axis and Allies was always my thing. That's like the days.
That's a difficult one.
Yeah, like we would set the board, and like you have to. I mean, it takes forever to win that game.
The competitive side of all of us really come out really heavy.
Yeah. Those 2 games we're not allowed to play at family functions anymore because of the competitiveness.
Just stirred the pot. Yeah.
Okay. And the side meetings we have with our wives to try to team up on other people.
Little espionage.
We always said alliances were allowed, but they had to be vocalized.
Oh,
okay.
We have not played that one.
All right, I want to come over to Risk Night when you have one of these.
Yeah, you're on the list.
Okay, so
sounds like I got somebody else that might make the drive.
He's in the bullpen.
We can make it a REIA event.
I don't think we would have a very high attendance. Okay,
so jumped into real estate in 2024. Started a syndication company called MW Capital Group, where we would just invest in just friends and family.
Okay.
We try to get away from SEC guidelines in which we can not have that much paperwork, and really blew up from there.
Before you get into all that, what gave you the real estate itch? I mean, you don't just jump into doing this.
That's a good question.
And that quickly.
So when we moved to Sioux City, my dad bought half a block in one transaction, and it consisted of multiple rentals. And so when I was younger,
all single family houses.
Yep. All single family.
Wouldn't that be awesome? So you own a block.
It would be kind of I was always trying to get Monopoly with three houses in a row, and then I did get the hotel though.
Yeah, but that just the house that we wanted, and then I played a lot of sports when growing up, so it came with a greenhouse in which we converted it into like a baseball area. And with that being said, I was the free labor, looking back at it, to doing all the rent collection, the fixes, and all that kind of stuff. But as I got older, I started talking to a lot of individuals that were business owners, and a lot of the components were, I also have real estate. I also have real estate.
Okay.
I also have real estate.
You saw a common theme from successful people.
Correct.
Okay.
A common theme was they had a business, that they also had real estate on the side.
Yep.
And so that piqued my interest. Then also reading a bunch of books piqued my interest. And then I made the decision to quit my corporate job as a finance manager and jump into real estate.
When you were going out to do rent collection, did you ever put anybody that was a non-payer in a rear naked choke?
No, but there was some I wanted to.
Yeah, I bet you did.
Even now.
Yeah. Me too. I just don't have the skills.
Right.
What kind of experiences did you learn as a kid going through that process, like collecting the rents, dealing with the people? And then how old were you when that started, and how long did you do that for?
That started at the age of 11.
Okay.
And then
11-year-old come to pick your rent up.
Yeah. Or fixing a stove or fixing something. But it really made me learn how to connect with human emotions and human people. And you can make agreements with them and have true conversations with them, and they more tend to agree with you in those kind of situations and say, oh yeah, maybe I should pay you rent that I'm,
Well, plus you kind of feel like a dick if you're mean to an 11-year-old, right? Like you owe money. Right. 11. That's pretty smart by your dad.
Yeah. How long do you keep doing that for? Or how long did he hold the package for?
So he owned those since I was about a sophomore in high school or college. So I don't know, 8 years or so.
And you were your maintenance guy and collecting rents all the way through that time.
Yep.
At any point did he start paying you?
No, but he gave me free rent when we were in college. After my freshman year, I moved to our house in sophomore year, and then I rented out to all of my college roommates at the time.
Oh, you house hacked.
I house hacked. Nice. Yep. But so I paid zero rent, but I also paid the mortgage. I paid the taxes. I did the upkeep and all that kind of stuff. But I did it from renting out rooms or couches or whatever. We had 6 people in a 4-bedroom house.
So, that's what you did in college.
Yeah. But it's funny now that we had was it Craig Kurlop? I can't remember if he was the one that was talking about that, but we had him on. He's Bigger Pockets author and host.
He wrote the book
on
house hacking.
Yeah, has his own podcast. But he was talking about, and even Brandon Turner, who I know you know, was talking about ways to squeeze out cash flow in a more difficult interest rate environment where your margins get compressed, and co-living is now a thing, or it's becoming a buzzword. As he's pretty good at that, which it just goes back to like roommates. You know, I mean, like we're just calling it co-living, and like it's this new thing, but it's like people have been doing this forever.
Yeah.
And it's like back to basics.
I think
when times get tough, you go back to basics.
Yeah, I think us as individuals, we have a interesting way to create a new terminology, but it's the same thing back hundreds of years, and now it's a trend now, right?
Yeah.
With pad splits and other things over in the East Coast or the West Coast, where density is more of a problem, but in Midwest we don't really have that issue.
What's the new word for wholesaling that they're using now?
Oh, I don't know. There's novation agreement. I mean, there's all these new
Sub
terms
2
that come out.
Yeah, maybe it was novation. Anyways,
novation or something.
I had to get notice from, let's just say, somebody in the real estate commission, like, oh, just so you know, novations are now wholesales, and they're just as illegal on your Facebook page.
Well, it's kind of like, when they used to say you're fired, and then it was like you're downsized, and then now you're right-sized, or I don't even know what they're calling it anymore. They always try to slap nicer words on it when there's bad connotation.
Right.
So yeah, maybe that's it. But one thing that struck me about your kind of storyline here is 2.5 years, man. And you've got a substantial portfolio, which we'll talk about in a second. And you mentioned, you got some family involvement, kind of formed almost a syndication, right?
Mm-hmm.
With friends and family. You went big fast.
Yeah.
How and why did you do that? Most people kind of take the approach, I'll buy a single family, kind of get my feet under me, buy another single family, kind of learn that. Maybe then they go to multifamily. It's kind of a progression. Mm-hmm. You're like, screw that. I'm just jumping way ahead.
Right. I think that has to go with a lot of my upbringing and the wrestling community, in which I've always, if I'm going to do something, I'm 100% in it, and it's full speed. Right. There's no break. It's all gas. And so from looking at it, we've created these funnels of leads that come into our office, and just one after another that came in, and they all penciled out to our criteria that met. And so when we kept finding the deals, mainly there was from a couple sellers. We got connected with some people that own a lot more real estate than us, and they were, parceling off their portfolio. Mm-hmm. But also when we looked at other ones, and then we did the renovations of those apartment complexes that we were buying, other individuals that own duplexes, triplexes, fiveplexes, fourplexes, or even a 12plex came to us and said, hey, you want to buy ours? Because we resided it and made it look good, kicked out the people the neighbors that they didn't like, mm-hmm. and put good tenants in. And so when it came to the fact of the lead just came in, it made sense on paper. We pulled the trigger and found financing later, or found structure later.
Built the parachute on the way down of the plane.
Right.
Yeah.
But also it's a need. Me quitting a job. We have multiple employees now, and so building a business around the real estate was a key component to what I wanted to do. And also with my kids that are starting to grow up, creating a business around it for them. They're not going to want 20, 30 units. They're wanting 3,000, 4,000, 5,000.
You asked your daughter that, who's 3. You're like, honey, what sounds better? Do you want 20 or
right now?
Or
she's
3,000?
She only wants to do dance. So
okay, is she your oldest?
Yep, she's my oldest. Yep.
So you start 11. Do you think you're going to start her around 6 collecting rents?
I was told
Pink bows.
I was told 9 is a good age.
Hey, there's no child labor laws in Sioux City. But no, that is really interesting. So if you could, maybe, can you talk us through, okay, let's say you're working your full-time job. You're a finance manager, not controller of a construction company. And you're like, you know what? I'm talking to all these successful people, and they all seem to have a common theme, and it's real estate. Mm-hmm. So you went deep, inch wide, mile deep on that. Listened to, I'm assuming, a bunch of podcasts, read books, talked to people.
Yep.
Obviously, you're a networker, and we'll talk about that as well with the groups that you're a part of. Can you talk us through what it was like as a probably late 20s or mid to late 20s at this point when you made this decision?
26.
26. Okay. Yep. So you're 26 years old. Most people are still trying to figure out what the hell is going on in the corporate world.
You and I were bartending about that.
Yeah. I'm excluding myself from this because I'm embarrassed about how much further you are. But talk us through what it's like when you have the bug and you find real estate and you're passionate about it and you know it's the way, but you have this job, you've got a paycheck coming in, you've got insurance, you've got a young family, or I don't know if you had them then, but
I didn't have them then.
But you're building toward that.
Correct.
Talk to us about the mindset you had and when you got to the point where either A, you were comfortable to quit, or B, you had had enough and quit. What was that like?
So the way I look at it is when I first started investing on the side, the way I got my first real estate transaction was I also do taxes for people on the side. And so one of the person I was doing taxes.
What's the worst thing you could do? Yeah. I'm like cringing as I hear that.
In my spare time, I also like to pull my fingernails out.
It's only for about 15 people, but it's people that I know and or coworkers at the time. But I was doing taxes for a person, and he had 8-unit property that he was losing money on and complained to me about it all the time. Well, I was looking at the financials and quite quickly found the reason why he was losing the money. And so he offered me at a low price. When you're buying a 8-plex at $120,000 and it's appraising for $535,000, the bug kind of sets in pretty good.
Yes. Okay. What was the thing that you looked at that you saw on his his cash flow statement or whatever, balance sheet or whatever it was what did you zero in on? Do you remember?
Rents were $300 under market per unit.
Oh.
And the expense ratio was around 70%.
Oh.
And
what do you attribute that to?
Management.
Okay.
He hired a third-party property manager, and it was all to do with not filling units or
long vacancies,
stuff that probably could have been, repainted rather than fully blown out to stud and, stuff like that.
And you're like, hey, can I buy that from you?
Actually, he offered it to me.
It's like, please take this.
I'll just give it to you.
Yeah. He asked if I could buy it. And of course, as a young 26-year-old, I said yes, but I don't really have any money. So
you got creative on that, huh?
Yeah. What then? Talk to us about that.
So I found a local bank, also named Colin, like we talked about earlier, that he was able to loan the amount of money I needed for that property with pretty much less than 5% down.
Okay.
And so from my job, since I had a corporate job, I always put half of my paycheck in a different account so I didn't see and could invest later. And once I was able to...
That was the golf account?
Got it. Okay. That was the golf account, yeah. Once I had enough money, then we made the deal happen.
Yeah.
And so it was a small amount of money put in and then bought it, did a little bit of renovation, kicked a couple people out, have a couple people there that have been in there since the beginning, since I bought it, and then re-rented it at market price.
Did you have to do a bunch of work to it?
No.
It was so it was reasonably well maintained. It was just crappily managed.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
There was a couple like lifelong tenants in there that once they moved out, you needed to go renovate. But other than that, it was, I think we renovated 2 apartments and that was it. And then moved people in and increased rents. And if they moved out, they moved out. But
you know how now you know this, probably back then, maybe you didn't, but when you get a broker that'll send you a deal and it always talks about pro forma, like it never lists anything on actuals, or if it is, they're like, look over here, it's total red herring because they're like, here's the pro forma.
It's called blue sky.
Yeah.
Right?
When you looked at that deal and you identified what the real issue was with it, did life and the actual end up being what you thought it was going to when you were looking at in your mind what the pro forma should be? If that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes. I think yes, but it would take time to get there.
Yeah.
Right. It wasn't going to happen overnight. It was going to happen 12 months, 18 months time frame, and because of I guess my will and my energy and my fortitude, that happened, right?
Yep.
And so we got it to the point where it was stabilized and now 100% occupied, and we refinanced out. And
what did it appraise for when you refied?
535.
535. Okay, yeah. So you didn't just make that number up.
No, I didn't. Yeah.
Wow. So you were, I mean, it doesn't sound, you did some unit turns, probably prettied it up a little bit. You had a couple long-term tenants move out. You had to do some improvements. But
re-sided it, put security cameras, changed locks, put LVP flooring in, took out clawfoot tubs and put, regular tubs.
You don't want those. Those are fun to move.
Oh no, I hate that.
They are. They have a great resale value on Facebook.
I've seen a lot of people refurbish them and sell them for more than what.
It's like gun safes. Like you ever buy a house and there's a gun safe in the basement and you're like, okay, well, I'm not moving this. This is just part of the house. Like it's just part of it.
I had a buddy that put a gun safe in. And I go, how the hell did you get this thing in there? He's like, well, I had to take out the whole entire basement window.
We actually built the house around it.
Cut it. You
did? Like, I don't know. It was there. We just built on top of it.
This safe was bigger than this table.
Yeah.
And I was like, holy shit, man.
Yeah, my safe can't fit in my house, so it's in the garage.
Okay. Wow, this is fascinating, man. So what do you think? So you bought it for 120 after the dust settled and you got it stabilized. What do you think you had in it total at the time?
20,000.
20. That's it.
Yeah.
So you were all in at 140 at a price for almost 540. So you had almost $400,000 of equity. Mm-hmm. Of that refinance that you did, how much of LTV did you get? Like, how much money were you able to pull out?
80% LTV.
80%.
So
okay.
We pulled
Math. So you pulled out, how much does that end up being?
$300,000.
And now you're started, right?
Yep.
Like, wow.
Now I have the capital. It cash flows. It meets our criteria of our cash flow requirements on a debt service coverage ratio and a cash on cash return. Obviously, it's an infinity return now.
Yeah.
Since we have zero money into it. But
wow. Okay. Out the door. Man, this is coming in hot.
You see the smile that was forming on his face.
Yeah.
He's
No, this is amazing.
Well, because that was
it sounds made up, honestly.
It does, but also too, it's like that was a home run deal, and it was the first home run deal and the first deal. So it's really like, all right, is this too good to be true?
Yeah.
So I didn't quit my job after that one. I used that money to buy another 16 units, and then after that, I was able to quit my job.
This is like,
what did the guy say that you bought it from when he saw that? Or does he know what you were able to do?
He comes in to get tax prep done and he just slides over the appraisal.
He turned into an investor and invested into our syndication. Yeah. So he's in 2 deals of ours right now.
Oh, wow. What a great story.
He's like, I'm going to have to give you like a better share just because you helped me get this business started.
I don't know, man. This is kind of like when you go into a casino on your 21st birthday and you catch a 45-minute roll on the craps table and you just kind of like think that's how it is.
Right.
You're like, this is awesome.
Right.
Yeah. Then you come back next week and you're like your car payment, everything is
chipping away.
That happened.
Yeah. Okay. So
Except for me, it was my 18th because I think it was 18 was legal then.
Was it?
Yeah.
I don't think you're right on that.
I think I'm right.
Okay.
Gambling and drinking was 18?
No, just gambling.
Back when Ted was born. So that's prohibition era. But okay, so so you went from 8 to 16. Did that go as well, or was this just a triple and not a home run?
That was just I would say a double.
Double. Okay.
Yep.
Solid deal.
It cash flowed. We renovated on one of those deals 7 of the 8 apartments.
Okay.
And it cash flows just well. It's 100% full, but I wouldn't say a home run.
Yeah.
But it's to the point where it created cash flow for me to be able to put myself in a position to quit my job and go into full time.
Okay. You're 26 years old. You're a finance manager. What were you making at the time?
With bonuses around 175,000.
Holy crap. Dang, man.
We're in the wrong.
Yes, we are. or we're just not smart. There's that.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, so that's not a small number to walk away from.
No, and it's
plus
not
benefits.
Plus benefits. Where, as obviously you guys know, if you're a self-employed person, benefits are extremely hard.
Yes.
That's why my wife still works as a teacher. Free health care.
Yeah. Wow, this is crazy.
Yeah,
okay, so
I was making good money. I was comfortable. I had almost a month worth of PTO, but really if it's a family business. The owner of it is a real good family friend. And so really if I asked to leave for something, I could if I wanted
to. Yeah. So you had a cushy job basically.
Very, very much. Yeah. Cushy job. So it was tough to see goodbye, but obviously I was 28 at the time when I left that job, being only called a finance manager, but truly doing all of the work. And then having a cap, right? I'm much of a person where if I'm not growing, I'm dying. And if I don't see a path to a higher stability, why am I doing that in the first place? And I think a lot of young generation look at that as well. If they don't see a path of growth, why get into that situation? And so jumping into the real estate, I was able to see it's it's almost unlimited. I have the control. I have the option to grow it to what I see fit, or get into different businesses and, scale and grow out and almost spread my wings per se. Right.
It feels like your superpower is, self-motivation. Like being able to not rest on your laurels, just keep on pushing yourself. Do you think that is something that is trained, or do you think that's just something that is just naturally?
I think it's naturally. I'll give my credit to my dad. He's been on his own since he was 14. And so he lived 30 miles away from where his homestead was just to go to high school. And so that was naturally probably produced, but also with a wrestling background, cutting weight for 12 years, not having
a lot of discipline,
not having Thanksgiving till I
I
was
didn't
done.
Even think about that. That would suck.
Eating gravy with a lick on my finger and putting it, and then going to run 3 miles after it. It taught a lot, right? It changed my mindset about a lot of things. And even now today, a lot of my business partners in a lot of things are wrestlers because they have the same mentality. Colin Schwartz, for example.
There's a lot of military people that we find.
Military people as well.
And engineers.
Yep.
There's some trends we see when we podcast.
There is.
Also, people with severe addictions that have gotten past their addictions.
Right.
And
because they need to focus their mind on a different addiction, right?
Yeah.
So,
it's just, it's one of the funnest parts of doing this over 5 years is just seeing these trends. But I don't know, I get really excited when I see somebody who's just able to motivate, just push everything aside and just really be able to focus. Like I feel like my focus is so all over the place, and if I could just stream it in,
right?
But it's some severe training,
right? It is, and don't get me wrong, my focus is on a lot of things, but also it might be like I'm probably could be defined as a workaholic. I work a lot, but it's also for
most successful people are.
Yeah.
It's
for family.
That was my question I was going to ask next is, when you quit, you didn't have you have, how many kids do you have? 2?
I have 2 now.
2.
Yep.
So you didn't have either one of them at the time you walked away from your $170,000 cushy job. And
I had one, and she was just born.
Just born. Okay.
Yep.
Now that you have a daughter that's more active and of an age where you're having to run around a lot more, you mentioned you got to go home and take her to grandma's house today. How has your life changed from being really motivated and being able to put in all the work to now you have to pay attention? Not you get to both, right? How do you integrate your goals and motivations and discipline with that and keeping your family together and doing a good job as a dad and husband?
From the goals and the motivation, I think it's amplified it. But from the discipline side, it's really to now I live and breathe by my schedule, my calendar on my phone, right? I have my daughter's things, my wife's things scheduled out 3 months in advance just to make sure like I don't miss those certain things, right? And so it's scheduling around those and blocking the time. But from the motivation, I think it gives me more motivation because I want to leave her with something that she's not per se has a free choice to do whatever she wants, right? Hopefully she and my son as well, hopefully they guide it into something productive, right?
Yeah.
But they have the option to. They don't get stuck into a 9-to-5 job that they, cringe at or don't like going to, or
it gives them options.
Right. Yeah. Optionality, right?
Yeah. Now, that's really fascinating. So if you don't mind me getting specific on this, so you mentioned you kind of have, it sounds like a family calendar. So you have yours kind of connected to your wife's. How do you guys, from a practical, like you're actually doing it, do you sit down with your phones? Do you have a family calendar on the fridge? How do you know when your daughter's going to dance? I live and die by this too, by the way. I'm really, if you could get really specific on this, what works for you guys?
It's not structured whatsoever. She sends me a text message. I put it in my phone.
Put this on your calendar.
Yeah.
That's what my wife does too.
And for her, she's extremely smart in the sense that she can remember everything. She doesn't have anything in her calendar, but she'll say, we have this time.
My wife's that way too.
I cannot do that.
I can't either.
She texts me the time. I put it in. I have gone back and forth with her multiple times to link our calendars, and she will not do it.
No,
she won't do it, but it's just because she just remembers it, right? She doesn't need something like that, but I have to because I'm also doing a bunch of other things that it's to that point. So
here's a suggestion for both you guys. We created a Gmail email just for the family. And in that you have the calendar option. So all the kids have their own iPads, or my son has a phone now,
Yep.
and all of our phones. So we just literally, if any of us adds something to the family calendar, it's automatically in everybody's calendar immediately. So then when with all of our sports and dance schedules, you can subscribe to the RSS feed, which goes right into the calendar too. So every sporting event for the whole entire season automatically uploads to the family calendar. And then on my phone, I just color it red because in that way, so the red pops out over everything else.
Right.
As the only non-Apple user in my family.
Yeah, but this is Google, though.
I know it is, but they don't have, this is I get what you're saying. Yeah. It's a great idea. I'm glad it works for you. I don't know that this is going to work for me. I got to find something else. They do have those cool, family calendars you can put on,
on the
their
walls.
Electronic.
Yep.
And then it'll integrate with your Gmail calendar. Whatever.
Now,
I have 5 calendars.
Now you can get the refrigerator with the screen on it with the calendar right there.
Yeah,
and just do it.
I've seen those one on walls. They're pretty cool, but also too, it's the data you have to put into. Can you get your wife to do it rather than just simply sending you a text and you deal with it, right?
So it all works if you do it.
Right.
There's some type of system.
Everybody's whatever system that works for you, right?
Yeah. Okay. So let's follow the progression here. So we've got an 8 unit, a 16 unit. You went from a grand slam to a double. What happened next? Maybe roll us through some of your next deals.
Yeah. So what happened next was I bought a commercial property downtown Sioux City. This is probably one that we can talk a lot about to what not to do.
Oh, okay. All right.
Because city involvement is in
You guys probably share some stories on your downtown buildings.
Yeah. So,
mixed use type building? Was it
mixed use?
Okay.
Yep. Mixed use type building. Just a brief overlay. It's 1,500 square feet of 3 apartments, and they want me to spend $100,000 of sprinkler system in it.
Yep.
Right. It's not even 3 stories. It's 2 stories, and what's underneath it is our warehouse. So nothing flammable, right? It's stoves, fridges, wood, sheetrock, insulation, those kind of things. So that was next. The idea was to renovate it, it's right about 5 blocks from a hospital. And so get contracts through the hospital and create that
for the 3 units up above.
Yep.
So you bought it. It sounds like maybe I'm assuming here you bought it for the purposes of using it as a warehouse, storage, that type of stuff for materials that you're going to need. The added bonus was the 3 apartments above are probably going to cash flow the whole thing.
Correct.
So so it's kind of a house hack, but it's a commercial building.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But then come to find out
that 2 years later, 2 years later, that didn't really work out. But
did something happen, or because usually you're grandfathered, aren't you?
Supposed to be.
Yeah.
So
what happened?
Great question.
they got in there. Something reported something.
No, nothing was reported. I think the plans and review and permit guy has a power trip, and when you're dealing with a city guy with a power trip,
we all know that.
We don't know. Yeah. We know that's not good, right? But thankfully, we have a new city council that just got elected, so 2 of them I personally like. So
are they both Collins?
No.
Okay. Right. Just checking.
You did stop and think about that for a minute.
Yeah. That's the good. One was a professor of mine in college.
No kidding.
He's the old mayor, and then one is a state representative that is now a city representative. And so very progressive minded and are wanting growth.
Yep.
And so that's good.
When you were going through these difficulties and the inspector was being kind of a douchebag, my words, not yours. He said, okay, you need to sprinkler this, you do all this stuff. And you're like, dude, right. And so you go through it. Were you kind of like, why did I buy this? Did that cross your mind? Like, I should have just stuck with apartments because obviously I'm crushing.
It did, but also too, I needed the space for what I was going to build in the future. Right. And so I needed the warehouse space.
Yep.
And it has a small little office that has 2 desks in it right now. And one's mine and one's a property manager. And I needed that space going forward. So even us, fighting with them to try to get them on our side to say, yes, it is grandfathered in. Yes, I don't have to tear out a brick wall to put a landing because the steps are more than 14. Yeah, that is grandfathered. Like, let's work together to create this housing issue that everyone is dealing with.
Yeah.
And it's only 3 units, but the 3 units are next to a hospital, and contracts with the hospitals, they need to happen. A lot of nurses that I talk to, they can't find it, or they're in a basement of some house that is not really beneficial for them.
Yeah. Now, a quick question on the nurse thing. Did you do these as regular long-term leases, and these were like residents of Sioux City, or did you do like midterm or short-term rentals with any of these units to get traveling?
Midterm.
Yep. So you set out to do that originally?
Yeah, set out to do that. What the goal was to, so I know the director of that hospital, and the goal was to get contracts with them where we have a year-long lease, but they can fill whatever.
Oh, so they just like plug, whoever's coming in.
Correct.
You're like, here's your apartment.
A nurse that comes in for 3 months. Then, here's a place for you.
So you're not doing like a furnish finder deal. You're literally doing a contract with the hospital on this one.
Smart.
It's very interesting because I just did. I can't verify these numbers that he gave me, but he's a very large, owns several companies in the traveling nurse industry. Mm-hmm. Not the person you're thinking of. And in that meeting, he was telling me that in Omaha alone, there's over an 80% drop of traveling nurses in this community specifically.
Really?
But nationwide, it dropped. And I didn't know if you're noticing that there also.
No, I'm not. I think it's staying the same over the last 3 years, although I think it's going to change here shortly. The hospital just got bought out by a different, like the same hospital across town. So now they're creating a monopoly, which is interesting because there's a lot of nurses that don't like that hospital. And so they're going to leave. So if they can get, contracted labor from a different place, such as maybe Omaha, Sioux Falls, Des Moines, wherever it may be, then it might actually be an uptick in our city. So
it's funny you did say that Omaha is one of the biggest outgoing cities for traveling nurses.
Yeah.
Oh, is that right?
Versus incoming.
Oh yeah, UNMC and you got UNL campus, all the they all leave.
Yeah. People want
the brain drain.
People want to leave here to get out of the Omaha and get the nice areas, and not necessarily wanting to come here and work.
Yeah.
But that's interesting.
But our hospitals pay good, I guess. So
so do ours.
Ted, the guy that you were talking to about this, did he attribute that to like post-COVID hangover with that they're just not needed?
Yeah, and the government's not funding the way they were before.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not an expert in this category. I used to have a lot of housing for traveling nurses, and I was asked this, that's why this question came up. And he's like, "Yeah," I'm like, "I haven't had a traveling nurse in years, but traveling electricians have been our biggest demand lately."
Right.
Yeah.
Okay,
and so that was kind of where that conversation was coming from.
Yeah.
Now, okay, so despite this hiccup, what was next? Did you continue on the path of kind of going back to apartments as your wheelhouse?
Yep.
And
so next one we purchased was a 12-unit property about 6 blocks from that office space. And so we bought it from an older gentleman that is retiring. And so it made sense for us. We bought it at a pretty good discount, increased rents, same philosophy, right? Value add properties. Mm-hmm. That one we raised money from my business partner's parents and my realtor that I talked about earlier, or the person I bought my first one from. He was that one. So we raised money from them and got it. And we still own that one to today. We're a buy and hold. We don't really try to sell unless we have to. But that one happened. That was beginning of 2024, end of 2023. And then at the end of 2023 as well, I actually switched to businesses. So I bought a business in December of 2023.
Okay.
So
I wasn't expecting this.
Yeah.
All right, a little plot twist.
Yeah. So that one's so went from real estate to business. It's called sponsored services. We do lawn and snow removal. So it was actually doing all the lawn and snow removal of my properties. And that one was actually my former wrestling coach in college. He owned that. And we employ all the wrestlers that currently
that's cool.
wrestle.
Yeah.
So I bought that business with a business partner of mine, and then got into real estate again after that. So
this Colin, you're still partners.
Yep.
Right. And are you partners just in that business and some deals, or are you like, hey, we're 50-50 or whatever your arrangement is?
Colin is a partner in just the real estate side.
Mm-hmm.
And then my other business partner, Keegan, he's in the sponsored service side.
Okay. What is your role in those businesses?
Business growth and the back end office.
Okay. So you go out, find deals, put it together, network, relationships, negotiate.
Yep.
And then, but you also do the back office. What do they do?
They do operations. They run the crews. Management.
Yep.
They're also dealing with contracts with certain individuals or the government or property managers. So I'll make the introduction, right? And then it's on them to send out quotes and to fulfill the contracts.
Okay, so you kind of bookended it like you do. I assume when you say back office, you're talking about tax and finance, the financials.
Yep.
And then they basically take the handoff or they take the baton when you've acquired it, and then you turn it over to them and say, okay, you guys go get them, clean it up, raise rents, do the unit turns, remodel where we need to. Is that kind of how it worked?
On the business side, yes.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Got it.
So
We had a gentleman we interviewed and a buddy that sold his lawn company, and he had the contracts for, I don't remember, 20 Air Force bases around the country, and they're 50-year contracts when you get them. Were they 50 or 30? I think it was 50.
I don't know.
But
we
sold that business for 9 figures.
Yeah, we have DOT contracts, and those are 5-year terms.
Yeah, I guess they don't like to shop on the Air Force base ones.
Probably not. Well, and when you get into that type of thing, you have to meet certain security clearance.
Yep. And once you get one,
right,
you're good.
Right. But once you're in, right?
Yep.
Yeah, actually was my prior job, my full-time, like the job I quit, we were trying to get into that space. And one of the things that we were trying to do was drone footage for power lines and for certain bases to strategize air defense. And one of the requirements that they had was we had to have a computer that never connected to the internet whatsoever.
Really?
Yeah, and it had to be all U.S. components.
It has to be hard to update that computer.
Yeah, you have to put a flash drive in and update, and it was interesting.
Sounds terrible.
It's an interest. It made it more difficult and more costly.
I see why.
They're like, okay, we like everything we see
why.
here. However, do you have a gateway computer or an Apple IIc that you might be able to use?
What in the world?
Yeah.
Or you're just gonna buy a new computer every single year and where it comes updated.
Yeah. I see why they do it, but it makes it a little more difficult to do it. But as long as you have the right people.
Snow removal is an interesting one. Living in the Midwest, we get hammered sometimes, and I don't know if
This year's been
much
awful.
different.
I mean, there's been no snow this year.
There's been no snow. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's a highly variable one with like lawn care and cutting grass. I mean,
that's
you know what your season is, right?
Right.
I mean, within a month.
Right.
But like, what do you do if you're like, hey, I'm a snow removal guy, I'm buying this business, and then like you get 2 inches of snow? I mean, that's not good.
That's not good. What we've done for the last 2 years now, we've actually got away from like the per push event, and most people operate on a budget, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so we tried to gauge off of historical data if we've done that client, but also over a 100-year average of what it snowed in that community. So like Sioux City, it's 31.5 inches is average over the last 100 years. And then we'll create a monthly subscription charge for them.
Oh, that's smart.
And so
they're paying year round pretty much.
They're paying for 4 months,
Yep.
regardless if it snows 0 inches or 12 inches. But if it snows 12 inches, they're getting the discount.
It's an insurance policy, more or less.
Correct.
Yeah.
If it snows 0 inches, we're getting it, right? So
I don't think I've ever heard of anybody organizing
but
it that way. That's really smart.
I can tell you that's something I would jump on because it'd be like a budget plan that actually could figure in my costs, kind of like when I do with utilities.
Right.
Yeah, because it was like I can't remember if it was three or 4 years ago. I was digging back through my my books on a property, and I was like, "Good Lord, what are like?" I looked at because you can break it out and look at your your QuickBooks categories, and it was like snow removal, and I looked, and it was like thousands and thousands of dollars for like one property and I'm like, I even asked my property manager, I'm like, dude, what is this? Right. And he goes, do you not remember?
20 inches.
And I'm like, oh, right. Yes.
And that's also that reaction right there is what we're trying to get rid of.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
And so
Smart.
If we can average it out over a 4-month, 5-month period where consistently what you're paying and not having a $20,000 snow charge because it snowed 20 inches in a week period of time.
Yep.
Right. That's what we're trying to eliminate and make it more where, okay, I shouldn't go shop this person or I shouldn't get rid of them because I need to cut expenses. We're trying to make it more planned, more organized for both them and for us.
Yeah, love it. Really smart.
Is there a budget plan for your grass mowing also? Or
there is. Yeah. There is biweekly and weekly.
Yeah,
and it depends on square footage and that kind of stuff.
Okay.
I don't do that. My operator, he does all those quotes, and we have an Excel spreadsheet that does all that kind of stuff.
I'm gonna send this episode to my lawn guy.
Yeah. Hey, last question. Yeah, right. Last question on.
Or reach out to us, and we can maybe put it
hit the Omaha area.
There you go.
Yeah,
little growth.
Are you guys here?
We're not here. We're in Sioux City, Sioux Falls, and towards the Des Moines area.
Okay.
But
not yet.
Omaha is a tough market. So
Yeah. What if, okay, now in that business, so like lawn and snow, do you target commercial and
Absolutely.
multifamily owners,
Yeah.
not resident? You don't mess with single family stuff.
we try not to.
Yeah.
We try not to for many reasons. But our philosophy is that if we're dealing with, say, one who own 100 units, 100 different properties, 200 different properties, or 30 different properties, it's rather easy to deal with that one person rather than 200 different clients.
Yeah.
Right?
Totally.
And so we push for that. And also from a commercial standpoint, those commercial or multifamily people, they are more likely to be running on a budget, right? That residential person is doing it off of emotion, off of, I don't want to do this because I'm old, or I broke my back, or what have you. Like, it could be multiple of options.
Yeah, and generally they're probably on a budget and they're in that situation. So it's always like a weird dynamic with them. And it's one, and if you lose that customer, it's like a yard.
Right.
I get it. No, so you're kind of elephant hunting as opposed to, going out and trying to just squirrel hunt.
Yep.
I don't know. That was a weird analogy, but okay.
This is a great budgeting thing, by the way. What you mentioned with the budgeting regardless of what you do, if you are a property owner, which most people listening to this are, you should look at this. I just used AI real quick. I'm like, hey, what's the 100-year average of snow in Omaha? And it's 28.7 inches.
Is that right?
And so
is that the Omaha Dome that people keep?
Omaha Dome. Yeah. But,
surprised we get more.
Yeah. and then it broke it down to 30 years is 28.7.
Right.
So I'm like, if you're working with somebody and you're trying to actually budget this and they don't offer a budget plan, you should look at the inches that it breaks it down per month too. 6.2 in January, 5.9 in February. You could literally figure out roughly what you should be budgeting for this expense, which I've never looked into. I'm just like, it's like literally I'm rolling the dice on what my bill's going to be on this.
Right.
Yeah. And the thing about that is too, if you have the year I talked about where we just got smoked with snow, if you're trying to sell in that year, that goes on your T12, and your T12 directly affects the value of a commercial property.
Right.
So, and it's a multiple, like it's exponential how much of an effect it has. So that's going to go right in your NOI. And if you all of a sudden have, I don't know, $5,000-$10,000 less on an NOI and you're trying to sell something. That's
all
a
the
wild
difference.
swing. Yeah. No, really smart. Okay. So I know have been very active in joining some pretty cool mastermind groups, kind of like growth oriented people. You want to talk about that for a minute? How did that come into your radar, and why'd you decide to do it?
Yeah. So I first joined the Better Life tribe that Brandon and some other people put on. I'm not one that looked at those types of things as I should join them, but as I got older, it is more important to join those things. Being on this podcast, doing networking events, all those types of sorts of things. And so when I was on one of the calls, they mentioned something about more high net worth individuals and more people that are doing more things, because most people on that platform had like 1 to 10, not much. And that's all they were comfortable with, and that's all they wanted. Well, me being me, I didn't want that, right? I wanted more. And so I called I don't remember his name, but one of the person
Colin?
No. The person for Better Life, but I asked him about the 50 group that they mentioned. And so then I had an interview with Matt Francois, if you know who that is. Great guy. And did their little interview process, and then they extended the offer to join their group. And once I joined that group, I opened up the doors to a lot of different people across the country.
Yeah.
Even across the world. There was one person from Egypt and Zimbabwe or somewhere over there. But I joined that group. That's where I met Colin. That's where I met some other Omaha friends that you guys know, some people in California that I still talk to today. And then when that kind of fizzled out, Colin reached out and made some posts and reached out about the Titan group. And so obviously Colin and I know each other pretty well. And obviously he's a go-getter. So I said, yeah, I'm all in. Let's do it. And what value can I bring and what value can I learn? Right.
Yeah.
So we've interviewed probably at least 10 people from the 50 group.
Have we?
Over the last few years for sure.
Yeah. Okay. This is so cool, man.
And a lot of people from Brandon's influence, that's for sure.
For sure.
Yeah.
Okay, what do you see? Let's zoom out a little bit here. You've got a crazy fast trajectory that you're on. Do you envision this just going until it's not fun anymore, or do you have specific goals that?
Or you're bored?
Yeah, or golf.
Boredom takes a big factor in your growth.
I have specific goals I want to meet in a time lane, but I don't think it'll ever get bored. I'm not the person that can sit on my couch and watch TV and do nothing.
Mm-hmm.
I have to do something. Even on weekends, I have to find some kind of busy work or growth work or research or messing with AI, creating an app or whatever it may be. I have to be growing.
What is your wife like? Is she exactly the opposite of you?
She is exactly the opposite.
It's so funny how that works out.
She is exactly.
So she thinks you're crazy.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
So she's the calm, stable influence, and
she's the backbone.
Uh-huh.
But she's. I think it's to the point where she just believes and trusts in me. Where I go say I'm going to do this, and she goes, "Okay, have fun."
Yeah.
Right. But it is really important to her that I am. Have those times blocked out in my schedule for those family type things, right? So,
do you mind sharing any of your bigger goals, or are you trying to keep those kind of close to the vest? I just want to be inspired. That's purely selfish.
So, some of my bigger goals are having 5,000 units in 3 years, and then having the operating companies that service those being no more than 25% revenue of the real estate company.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So the other companies I have, they service my properties. I don't want them to be big, but the ultimate goal is if I have enough kids, they can be owners of those businesses. Right.
Now you operate or live in and own stuff in Sioux City, and I believe South Dakota as well. Is that right?
Yep.
So Sioux Falls.
Sioux Falls.
Okay.
Yep.
How far is that from where you live?
An hour.
Okay. So you got
same distance.
Yeah, an hour radius. You've assembled and not that unit size is the matter here, but just kind of get an idea. You are over 500 now, well over 500.
614.
614. Okay. Wow.
Yep.
All right. Need to update your AI
chatbot.
Ted.
Yeah, mine's at 579. So,
all right. So 600 doors, and why don't you just buy the whole town?
Good question. On one of them, we own 30. In one town that we're in, we own 33% of the market space.
Wow. Okay, this is actually
cool.
I had a note in here to ask you about this. So when you look at real estate as a whole, and this is just U.S. only because that's all I know, but you have primary markets are going to be your bigger cities, Phoenix, New York, Boston, et cetera, and then you've got secondary markets, which are going to be your, maybe a couple million. I don't know if Nashville would qualify. I'm not sure what their size is. Maybe Austin is a secondary market. I don't know if it qualifies for a primary or not.
I don't think so.
By the
Nashville,
book, anyway.
Yeah,
and then you got tertiary markets that are, like Omaha would technically be a tertiary market, even though I would argue it's secondary.
Right.
But what are the pros and cons of investing in areas like that, aside from the fact that it's your backyard?
Right. I guess the pros are there's not a lot of so we primarily go in secondary and tertiary markets within 2.5 hours of where we're at, up and down I-29. Right?
Okay.
So if it's 2 hours east, north, west, south, that's our kind of buy box. In the tertiary markets, what we've seen is there's not a lot of institutional buyers or not a lot of heavy hitters.
Yes.
But there's also a lot of people that are mom and pops that they've owned it for 20 years, 30 years. Their kids don't want it, or they don't have any kids, and they just want to get rid of it. So we might be able to buy it at a per door price that is cheaper than what you would say buy it in Omaha or in Sioux City or in Sioux Falls or in Des Moines or those secondary type markets. So from a occupancy side, from an operations side, we have seen no different than the secondary markets than the tertiary markets from getting tenants in. We've seen more people that come into our tertiary markets that live outside of a secondary market, that they're willing to drive 30 minutes, an hour to work because the cost of living in that tertiary market is a lot less.
Yeah.
Right. And so now there's bigger external factors like a business closing down and moving. Those things are at risk. So we do look at communities around those communities and that community that we're investing in. If their manufacturing, their distribution, their healthcare, those types of things are growing, then we will look into those and invest in those communities.
The way he talks about this is almost like the conversation we had with AJ Osborne when he was talking about storage units and the markets we're looking at. It's the exact same conversation.
Well, Ted, you and I were talking, I think, I don't remember if it was last week or the week before, but we were talking about the, like Lexington, Nebraska. I'm not sure.
Yep.
So you may know this, but the Tyson plant closed there, which I believe represented, I know it was several thousand jobs.
Yeah, I think it was like 40% of their workforce.
Or
something like
40,
that. It was
like 4,500 jobs or something.
Yeah,
like that,
yeah.
right?
And which is about, well, I don't know what the population there is, but it's like half the town.
Yeah, it's like maybe 6,000 people.
So
but what we're seeing with that, so Tyson has multiple locations, right? And so they're actually shipping people to Storm Lake, Iowa.
Oh, is that right?
Right. And so their orientation in Storm Lake, Iowa for their pork plant has been full the last 2 weeks.
Huh.
And so we own 24 units in Storm Lake. We own 110 or so units in a town 27 minutes away.
Wow.
And so we're getting influx of people right now.
So they're coming from Lexington as a result of getting laid off. They may be, displaced, but they're getting another job at a different location that they're going to keep online.
Correct.
So if I'm hearing you right, basically your cost basis is much better in a tertiary market, smaller city. The big risk is if there's one big employer,
correct,
and they end up pulling the plug,
correct,
i.e. Lexington.
3,200.
Okay, that was the employey base that lost their jobs.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
So then,
and that's massive for that community.
Okay, let me do I'm just going to do a thought experiment here. Let's say there's a town, I can't think of one, but let's say it's similar to Lexington, but it's close. It falls in your 2.5 hour radius. And let's say they have a big employer like a Tyson, and they have a plant, and there's 10,000 people in the town. They employ 3,200 of them there. Are you going to buy there?
Not in Lexington.
No. But if it's a similar situation,
if it's a similar situation. I guess it depends on if the price per door is at a low and it's hard to lose, it might make sense to do it anyways, right?
Okay.
And if we have stuff within 30 minutes that our property managers and maintenance people can get into, then yeah, we might. But if it's an occupancy standpoint, what else factors are we looking at when it comes to maybe 55 plus people, right, are just on Social Security?
Yep.
Or is there a good hospital there? Or is there probably not new construction coming in where you can get contracts from construction companies, right? But what other factors are there that not just from a purchase price standpoint, but also from that standpoint could happen?
I think
in that market, for example, there was a distributor that closed down, but at the same time, the chicken plant doubled in size. And so for a little while, when that distribution went down, we did have some occupancy issues. But when the construction came about, now our occupancy is back up.
Yeah.
They hired people. We housed the construction workers. And so it's, I don't know, it's kind of ebbs and flows, right? And so,
well, I think, too, and I'm from a small town in Iowa as well, Southwest Iowa, but, that was always my thing, was like, and in all the books I had read when I was first getting going in this, they were like, oh, don't buy in small towns because, especially if they have a single employer that keeps the town afloat more or less. So I always kind of avoided that. But I do like the approach of maybe you target, or you're not targeting, but you see an opportunity in a town that is commutable within another city. So it kind of mitigates the risk of the single employer, going under, because you have it's more diversity in the job market, just as related to, like the circle that you have drawn on the map. Right. So it's commutable.
Right.
But if you have something that's 2 hours away from any city of any size, it's probably a much more existential risk, to have that situation.
Right. And in those smaller communities, there's also a lot of community help, as well as government help, like housing certificates or housing vouchers, right?
Yeah.
And so we do take advantage of those as well.
Yeah. And
we house those people to the point where they probably wouldn't have that nice of an apartment that they would be living in the first place. So then they, come into our newly renovated ones.
All right, Dalton, tell us about, you mentioned you have some other businesses because you obviously, get bored easily. So why don't you run through those real quick? What else do you have cooking?
Yeah. So my philosophy is if I can create an expense into a revenue stream, then I'll certainly do that. So one of those is a flooring company. It's called Infinity Flooring. We're actually just got a lead from a contractor in Omaha that we might do some work for. But they do hardwood install, LVP, carpet, you name it. We just actually got certified to do epoxy flooring.
Oh, no kidding. Like for garages?
Yep. So
basement.
I tested out my poker room in my basement.
Sweet.
And then my office room, or our break room in our office. So we did that. And I think he's doing the weight room for my lawyer's home gym.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, do you have partners in this one or any of the other ones? Okay.
Yeah. One partner in that one. He's the operator. I just get him contracts and get him same kind of stuff.
Was this something to where he came to you and said, "Hey, I kind of want to grow my business. You're connected.
Yeah.
You have money."
He actually, I grew up with him. I wrestled with him in high school, and he lived 1 block away from me. So we've been friends since
forever,
8th grade.
Yeah.
And he worked for his father-in-law. And his father-in-law wouldn't give him a raise, and they just had kids.
Jeez.
And so he said, "Hey, you want to do this?" I said, "Sure."
Wow.
It made sense. I could have, access to a flooring person, so I didn't have to do it, or my guys could focus on something else. And his brother is actually one of my employees now.
Okay.
And so, yeah, it worked out in the sense, and I just gave him some seed money, and I give him contacts. He's very self-driven as well. So like giving contacts of people, he kind of takes care of himself as well.
Yeah. That's awesome. And what else? So you flooring business?
Yep. A bookkeeping company. So we do books for
more than 15 clients.
About 56
across
the country.
15 of them you handle yourself, or I remember you said there's a handful you handle.
Yeah. 15 of them are about 15 that I handle myself. And then
what's your role in that though? Like, are you actually overseeing all the books, like final reports? Or
I oversee final stuff that goes out to tax people. We do a lot of stuff with CPAs. And so like before it gets sent to CPAs, I take a look, or every month I'll take a look of the financials before it gets sent out to clients, right?
Is that one of your biggest savings if you look at all your companies as a whole? Or do you charge all your businesses the same?
I charge the businesses the same.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if it's my business or if it's someone else. If we get a quote from someone else, we're going to be at the same price or a little bit under.
Okay.
I don't believe in the philosophy of discounting it, right? Because then why buy the asset in the first place?
Yeah.
If you're creating a crutch, right? But also too, the sense of buying a bookkeeping business or having one is to also do look at financials from people. And so there's been a couple businesses I've put offers on that we did the books for. And so, they were retiring or they're struggling or whatever have you, that potentially could open up avenues to also vertically integrate my other companies, right?
I've never talked to anybody that's gone that approach.
I feel like a dumpster business is in your future.
I wish. I hate the dumpster businesses that are doing my properties right now.
I just got a lead on one of those last week.
No, this is great. Okay, so you're kind of the male version of Cody Sanchez in northern Iowa, right?
Yeah.
I love it. Okay, so of all the things that we've talked about, if you wouldn't mind, take a stab at how you allocate your time. You've got several different businesses. Sounds like you've got some that are fairly self-sufficient. The flooring business you mentioned. You're obviously doing tax prep or bookkeeping work for some select clients. If you had to say, okay, when I boil it all down, on average, I spend X percent of my time on this business, this business, this business. How do you break it out?
I'd say 70% of my time is allocated to the real estate.
Okay.
And then it's probably 15 to 20% on the lawn care, snow removal, 5% on the flooring business, and 5% on the bookkeeping business.
Yeah. So mostly real estate. And
you have a property management company too.
Yep. I do have a property management company in which I think at this point I have enough people that are in positions that they manage the properties themselves. So then I get weekly reports and monthly reports. We try to automate a lot of things in the property management software, in the property management company, that it takes out human interaction or human element with AI to try to make it more efficient and more, I guess, ready to.
Did you create your own software, or are you using AppFolio?
AppFolio. Okay. We use AppFolio. They're coming out with a lot of stuff, but they need to speed it up a little bit to try to do. And then we use, ChatGPT and Grok and, all the other ones to hopefully plug into, or we can extract data from it and then use it.
One question I forgot to ask you is, you mentioned that you have kind of a 2.5 hour, diameter of, kind of buy box. Do you think 5,000 units is realistic to be able to buy in that radius or in that diameter? And if not, what's next? Like, are you broadening it? Are you targeting different markets specifically?
Yeah, I think from our aspect is if we can have like central hubs in between an hour to 2 hours from each other. So such as Sioux City to Sioux Falls, we have a hub there of a team of 4. in an hour east of us, there's a hub there. An hour south of us, there's a hub there. And so if we can strategically align our properties that they almost interloop with each other from a distance, so I'm not driving 4 hours away, 5 hours away from one location, then it can bridge the gap on where we can expand more.
Yeah, it makes sense. Yep. I like it. Okay. Well, we have a section that we have where we talk about something that didn't go according to plan, and we call it our failing forward. And you get the gist of it. You already kind of teased us with your third purchase, which was the mixed-use sprinkler fiasco. Do you got something else maybe that didn't go exactly how you planned that you might want to talk about?
Yeah. So one of the earlier deals that we did was a 72-unit apartment complex. It was 4 different buildings. We took it out of USDA financing and made it market rent. At the time we purchased it, it was 18% occupied. And 90% of it needed renovated.
Wow. How does that happen?
Wow.
Yeah. And how does the city not shut it down?
They wanted to.
Yeah, okay.
They wanted that person to get out. There was a lot of issues that have happened at that property. It doesn't have a very good outside appeal or even a city view. So we purchased it with the intention of turning it around. It's right across the street from an elementary school. And so it's got a very busy road. So it's a good location. And when we did a market study, that community needed 300 housing units. Well, there was 60 units that needed renovated that we could be pretty good. Our intentions were to go in there in 2 different phases, or try to do it in one, but we needed city involvement. One of those buildings, we moved tenants out and we made it completely vacant. And so we can go get state grants doing so. While getting state grants from Iowa Finance Authority or any other ones, you had to have city backing. And because of the misperceived connotation of the property, the city manager was on board, 2 other council members were on board, but 2 other council members weren't on board. And that's partly a little our fault. We told them our construction would be done in 7 months, and it took a year to do it. But when you tear open a wall and you find 2 copper pipes connected with a garden hose,
no,
it's
really,
really have a picture of it. It's really difficult to turn it around that quickly.
I bet it worked just fine.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just trying to figure out the mindset of the person that did this. They're like, all right, we got to go get some copper fittings. And they're like, bro, Menards is so far. And it's close.
I think it was.
Hang on, I got a garden hose.
I think it was whatever they had in the back of the truck.
Yeah. Right? Or maybe it was the tenant and they just weren't fixing it for so long. He said, screw it, this is what I'm going to do.
Right. It could have very been with that. So we went into it. We, bought it at a pretty cheap price. We had a construction company there that was doing all the work. We renovated 52 apartments. We still have one of the apartments vacant. One of the buildings, it's 20 units at vacant because we did try to get grant twice now, which we failed to do so. So looking back on it, and what we've changed is tightening our numbers, being more conservative, overestimating our budget on construction, and not getting city involvement.
What percentage are you budgeting for overages?
About 8% over.
Okay.
Were you able to get TIF or any other type of? No, they just said no.
We tried to do 3 different routes. Right. We tried to do a tax abatement on improvements. We tried to do a business development agreement, and then we tried to do a facade type grant. So per the state requirements, all we needed to do was $1,000 per unit, which was $72,000 in assistance of some sort. And neither of those were appetizing to the other 2 people. So,
jeez,
yeah, that is another risk that when you're going into those tertiary markets, that's one of the reasons why we moved out. Me and my dad and my brother moved out of tertiary market was because everyone knows your business. Everyone thinks a certain type of way. It's really hard to create change. For the most part, you can create change, but sometimes it's hard to do so.
Yep.
And so if you can, you're good, but it might take a long time to do so.
Yeah.
So I think we looked at a 7-year time frame on actually stabilizing and changing the perception of the town. And we're 2 years into it right now.
Okay. So you got a little bit of So you got a road ahead of you still.
Yeah.
So it might end up hitting your business plan, but
Yeah.
it just, you got some twists and turns along
Right.
the way.
I think once we redo siding, I mean, we went from 18%, we finished construction, and we went from about 23% to 60% in a matter of 2 months.
Oh, wow.
And so it was, I mean, we filled a lot of units, a lot of trips, and a lot of grit to go down there and get it done. And now it's, operating, at least covering costs and whatnot. But now we're working on refinance now to pull out more equity and finish the construction. I don't know if you guys looked at like stucco siding. If you've ever done that, I have a rendering of it. Thank you, AI. It makes it look really nice.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Interesting.
So
my house is actually stucco, or at least the front is.
Yeah.
You mentioned on this though that you did a market study of this particular area, found that it needed 300 units. Mm-hmm. Are you doing that just with your own resources, or is there a company you hire out?
That's a good question.
Yeah, good question. So that particular deal, that it was done by USDA. And so when you're taking a property out of USDA, they have a 6-month wait period before you can actually take it out. And part of their due diligence is a market study showing that that community can suffice a non-low income apartment complex.
Got it. Market rate rents.
Yep. Right. And so that is also including a market study on what they needed. Also, about 2 years prior to that, the city did one because they're trying to grow as well.
Okay.
And so it kind of, the reports were pretty much the same.
Yep.
That's public knowledge that you can get that information.
That's public knowledge. Yeah. You can get it off of any city website or probably Google it.
I didn't know this. This is really good info.
Now, if you are going to a new market, you don't know it, and maybe this is a question, there's an opportunity to buy something. Are you, there's no studies available that,
right?
Are you paying for a study to get done, or have you ever?
I have, no. We tried to use any kind of free stuff that we get, whether it's AI, whether it's talking to mayors or other realtors or other brokers, or if it's using CoStar or, any of those types of, softwares or companies.
Yeah.
So we try to look, but we also look at like, how much permits are in a city, because you can tell by expansion, like Sioux Falls, for example, right? They had $1 billion in construction permits over the last 5 years.
Wow.
Sioux City is around 150 million, so a lot less.
Yeah. Sioux Falls is blown up.
Yeah.
I know when my Colin, or the Colin that you and I share, when he was starting to buy stuff there, it was kind of like not really untapped market, but he was seeing a lot of value add opportunities. And I know they were crushing up there, but he said, it's getting, this fishing hole is attracting a lot more fishermen now.
Right, it is. And cap rates are starting to decompress, right? And especially in the industrial field, I see people competing at, 5% cap rate, 4% cap rate.
Yeah, when debt's at 7.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's like, how does that make sense?
Right.
So it looks like there's a company called Feasibility Inc. that does this type of service.
Okay.
Which I can't vouch for. I just was looking on Google.
Yeah. So we do, and we look at those type of metrics to see. But yeah, those, if we're looking back at it, we should have probably not maybe focused on the city grant and just did it ourselves.
Yeah.
We probably would have done it a lot quicker, right? But
so I guess, looking back and to kind of put a bow on this, I think you still would have done the deal knowing what you would have had to go through, but you probably would have negotiated a little harder or tried to buy it.
Yeah, absolutely would have done the deal. That deal actually came with a first right of refusal on another 40 units there.
Okay.
And so, makes sense.
Yeah, that's great. Well, that's quite the failing forward, man. 7 years. That's a long unwinding period, but it sounds like a cool deal.
Yeah.
Well, we've got one last section that we call the OT with Owen and Ted. We got some questions we're going to fire at you here. I understand you've been prepped a little bit for this, so hopefully
more prepped than pretty much anybody else.
Yeah, we usually ask these cold. So, all right, I'm gonna throw the first one at you, and it is going to be if you're going to write a book. Have you written a book?
I haven't. No.
Okay, you have one that you've been kicking around. You think that's in your future at some point?
I think that's 40 years down the road.
Okay,
or maybe 30 years down the road.
Okay, so let's time travel. We're 30 years from now. I'm probably gone. But Ted passed before me because we have what's our bet? We have a $10,000 bet on who's going to to die first.
Yeah. And then the other person has to deliver a eulogy, I think.
Yeah. It's a eulogy / $10,000 bet that'll be donated to the charity of our passed away person's choice. Okay, so but enough about that. You're going to write a book. What do you think it would be about? And if you had a title, or if not, that's fine. But what's the topic, do you think?
I think the topic would be about mixing business and real estate acquisitions with family life and growth, right? And so how to make sure that you're focused on both at the same time, but also achieving the goals at the same time. And so what the name of that, I don't know, but I think it's hard for any business owner and any person to try to continue to grow their business, but also not sacrifice something else.
Yes.
Right. It's a very fine line. And it's a very hard balance to do. And doing it with a good partner, with a spousal partner or other partner, whatever it may be, is, I think a lot of people talk about it, but there's not a book that people can read about it.
Yeah. I love it. I'll buy it, man, if I'm still around. Hopefully they have big print. All right, Ted, what do you got?
It'd be a pop-up book.
If they even print.
Lots of pictures.
Yeah, by the time you open it up, a little 3D image comes out and it just speaks it to you. It's your podcast. You can interview anyone in the world today. It doesn't need to be real estate related. Who's the person you'd like to interview? And if you could ask a question, what would you ask?
Patrick Bet-David.
Okay, who's that?
PBD podcast.
Okay.
It's I think he was in insurance, and he sold his insurance company. And he does a lot of podcasts with a lot of big hitters. To be honest,
is this your favorite podcast, by the way? PBD?
I don't know if I have a favorite one.
Okay.
But if I start listening to your guys, it might turn into
Yes. All right.
He's like, what podcast? I've never heard of that.
5-star review. 5-star review, please.
Yeah. But he's got a lot of philosophy on life in general, right? It can be real estate, it can be insurance, it can be investing, it can be crypto, it could be geopolitics. It's well-rounded, right? And it's very tactical and practical. And I think that's what would lead a lot of my questions to is, how did you get to that point? What made you want to do it? Where's the end of it? Those types of questions. So
awesome.
Yeah. Okay. Next question. We're at the end of the line. It's very sad. It's at your funeral. Who do you think, based on everything you know now, would deliver your eulogy for the big send-off? And what kind of legacy you hope to leave behind?
Yeah. So if my business partner doesn't die first, it would be Colin Blatchford, not our Colin. I think I would want him to do my eulogy. He knows me the best, other than my wife, obviously. And I think he's gone through the same struggles in business and life so far. But from what he says, I hope he says something to the effect that I had a purpose and I had a passion, right? And I always did things methodically when it came to family and business to help create opportunities for those people that were involved and create win-win situations for all involved. Kind of almost like a herd capacity, but not in a sense, right? So we'll see if he does. He's also a little on the crazy side. So
those make for good ones. It's like a best man speech.
Yeah, his best man speech was pretty good. Yeah,
my best man almost got kicked out, and then his mom almost got in a fight with somebody else at the table because they were laughing so hard and making fun of him.
At your reception?
Yeah, Marty McGuire, or now insurance man.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you think about your life in general and think about the person that had the biggest impact on you, mentor, who was it? And if you could speak to him directly right now, what would you say?
Mm-hmm. So I guess there's two. One is my dad. I would say thank you for bringing me into his life and continuing to mentor me. We talk on a reoccurring basis all the time about life and business. But the other one is Colin's dad. And so they own a business, and how they've built that business, it's over 100 years old and generational.
Wow.
And so
that's cool.
How they built it is very impressive, and how they're humble is very impressive. If you looked at them, you wouldn't see that they own a business like that. So the words and wisdom I've heard from him, his name's Matt Hanson, over the last, since I was a sophomore in high school, have been very impactful on how I do things, how I can grow as an individual more so as a business person. But
yeah, love it. All right. Last and not least, how can our listeners support you? And are you looking for anything in your life or business right now, where somebody catching this episode might be able to connect the dots for you?
Yeah. So I'm always looking to, learn people's experiences and see where they've succeeded and failed, and possibly give value myself and possibly learn from them. So anyone can find me on LinkedIn or Facebook. I'm not much of a social person, but I'm starting to be. So Dalton Hanson, I saw you just sent me a send request.
Yeah, you were very, very ghostly on the socials when I was trying to find you.
Yeah. I'm not much there, but focusing on one of the pillars in the Titan community, right, is brand and influence, and so focusing on that and trying to get it better. But those are the best. Or you can. Infinity Flooring has a TikTok page and an Instagram page. You can go look at those. So sponsored services doesn't have much, but our nonprofit MW Training Center, we're on Facebook, Instagram. I think they have some TikToks as well. But.
Yeah, and we want to make sure and give that organization a shout out. So you started a nonprofit, and it's you said it's for basically wrestling and like combat type sports.
Yep. So it's from the ages of I think our youngest one is about 6 or 7, and all the way up to 35.
Cool.
So we have different it's called MW Training Center. It's in Sioux City, Iowa. We just started it December of 2025. And so not too long. Right now, we're actually opening and rolling in freestyle. There's not much freestyle wrestling that happens. 4 days a week, we do some type of jiu-jitsu or striking. And so you can get there, roll around, lose some weight, get more confidence in you. The purpose of that is, to try to instill values into people, that it's not just about, going day in, day out, doing the same thing.
Yeah.
Right? And so if we can teach them, get some anger out for one.
Yeah. I have a lot of that. Do you have any 50 plus class categories in there that I might be able to roll in?
We might. Yeah, we might.
Metamucil machine over there.
We got some bags that you can punch. We got some ropes that you can climb. And probably just the rilement of, running around and getting some sweat going probably would help. But
awesome.
I guess, when we did the Titans event the other day, I had some anger issue I had to get out because I guess I lost my shit with the guy and made an impact.
Yeah, it almost looked like you wanted to take him down.
Really?
I saw it.
I haven't seen the
We'll
video.
put it in the show notes.
Yeah, we don't need to do that. And hey, well, thank you also for losing your podcast virginity today.
Yeah, thank you.
Which
Thank you for
I
having me.
honestly
We took another one, Ted.
Yes. Which I'm absolutely shocked that this is the first one, especially with how much you're doing and how fast you're doing it and the success you had. I mean, you're real natural on the mic.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
No radio edits.
Hopefully not.
Usually it's us that we have to radio
And
edit.
I didn't have to write on the back of the paper and show it to you and say you're very well spoken, great podcast. And so I appreciate it. If we can be a resource for you, please let us know. And hopefully we can do this again in a couple of years and see where you're at and where you're growing.
Yeah. No, thank you for the opportunity. I appreciate it. And hopefully you guys can grow this. And I look forward to hearing some more. So
yeah, man. All right. Well, let's get you out of here. On behalf of REIA Radio, Aiden Bear and Ted Kaasch, I'm Owen Dashner, and you've been listening to Dalton Acquiring Iowa and South Dakota, one property at a time. Hanson, signing off.
I don't know if it's really one property at a time. He's kind of buying bundles at a time.
Yeah. It's hard to listen and write and think at the same time. I don't have that. I haven't figured out that capability yet.